You might call me weird here, Andros, but I was watching the game and I saw City miss a few chances like we just saw on the screen. And I was thinking, I wonder if Harry Kane's watching this. I wonder if he's watching and thinking, I could be in this side finishing some of those chances. Because I look at Manchester City and in the last 10 years, they've never had to go out and splash the cash on a top-tier, grade A centre-forward. Why? Because they've had one of the best in the entire world for the best part of the decade. Sergio Aguero, who is leaving. But do they sign a replacement? Do they go on with Gabriel Jesus and the false nine principle with all the players they have? Or could you see someone like Harry Kane? I don't know if you know him well or anything, but I know you've watched him up close and personal. Do you reckon he could fit into this City side, stylistically at least?
Of course, I've said before and I'll say it again, I think Harry Kane's one of the, if not the best striker in the world. So, of course, he could play for a club like City, but having worked under a chairman like Daniel Levy, I know there's no way on this earth that he is selling Harry Kane to a Premier League rival for less than double the price. So for me, I think that ends the debate. Pep Guardiola's already come out and said that Man City don't have bucket loads of money to spend, and it's going to take that and more just to even get Daniel Levy to even consider negotiating with them. So for me, it's a non-starter with that one.
The thing is, whenever a manager says something about transfers in particular, I always take it with a pinch of salt. I remember Arsene Wenger saying, oh yeah, we've got no more business plan for the rest of the summer transfer window. The next day or the 2 days after that, they announced Mesut Ozil. So I cannot really take everything being said on face value more than anything else.
I agree with that, but I remember back to a time when Luka Modric, just before he went to Real Madrid, Chelsea actually bid more for him, and Daniel Levy turned it down and actually sold him to Real Madrid for less, because for that reason, he doesn't want to strengthen a rival. He'd rather take less money and have one of his best players go overseas than take 30-odd million and make one of his rivals even better and make that team go further away from Spurs. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of kind of gamesmanship, but I can't see this one happening for those reasons.
I mean, if he does go... Yes.
No, I mean, I think there's two questions in there you're asked. Can he fit in? Most definitely. He is one of the best strikers in the world. You know, I do think there's a difference between selling to Manchester City and selling to Chelsea. If you're a Tottenham chairman, there's a massive rivalry there. But Andros is basically right. The money that Daniel Levy will actually let him go for Harry Kane, you can get Erling Haaland for. I mean, literally, he'd probably ask for 150 million. He's pounds. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's got, what, 3 years left on his contract? So he can basically ask for whatever he wants. Unfortunately, I think for Harry Kane, and I think he's missed the boat in terms of leaving Spurs generally. I think by the time his contract will run down enough, I don't think the real big boys of Europe will be wanting to spend the money. He'd be touching 30 there. And I think in a way it's a shame. But, you know, look, he can still be a Tottenham legend. He can be an all-time goal scorer, not just for Spurs, but for England as well. But I think the amount of money it will cost to prize him away now. You're guaranteed, what, maybe 5 top-class seasons in the Premier League. But for 150 million, you can actually probably guarantee 9 to 10 with Erling Haaland. So I think if they were going to go for one or the other, Manchester City would go for Haaland.
Yeah, that's a great point. But does Haaland fit into the Manchester City way? From what you've witnessed of Haaland, what do you reckon, Andros?
Like Scott and myself said, when you're one of the best strikers in the world, you can fit into any way of playing, and Haaland's definitely that. He's shown that he's very young, so he can learn. Pep can take him under his wing and kind of take his game to another level. But what he's producing in Germany for Dortmund is just frightening for a player of his age. So again, the answer is, of course, he can fit into any style of player. He's similar to Harry Kane. He's that good of a striker.
It's just that I look at Pep Guardiola and how demanding he is of his players to play a specific way. It looks like Haaland's very much off the cuff and doesn't operate like a lot of Manchester City players do. And I guess the best analogy would be what happened with Zlatan Ibrahimovic when he went to Barcelona all those years ago. And it's a rift which hasn't been healed many years later between him and Guardiola. Scott, you covered Spanish football. You probably know all about this, more than I do.
Well, Zlatan is you do it my way or that's it, you know. And against Pep Guardiola, the manager, the strength that he had at that particular time and still does, there's only one winner. I would perhaps counteract that with Sergio Aguero. Don't forget Sergio Aguero scoring all the goals for Manchester City. It wasn't enough for Pep. He said, I want you to track, to run more, to do this. You know, we saw pictures of him in a meeting, in a restaurant with his agent, and it was almost like, what's going to happen? Which way is Sergio Aguero going to go? He could have gone off into the sunset and gone to a club in Spain or Italy and actually just carried on with the way he wanted to play, just scoring goals. No, he knuckled down, he worked hard, he had an extra couple of seasons under Pep Guardiola playing the Pep Guardiola way. Erling Haaland, listen, if he goes to City, he will listen to Pep Guardiola, trust me, and Pep can mould him into the best striker in the world.
I guess the only issue to overcome would be Pep's relationship with his manager, Mino Raiola. They've both publicly said they do not like each other. Can they put that aside to do business? It's not for us to say. But what other areas would City need to strengthen, Andros? Because this is a Manchester City side who have put down so much in terms of planning and fulfill the potential just short of that Champions League trophy. And I'm willing to bet a bottom dollar every penny that I have, they are already looking at next season. They are already planning next season and who to target, who to bring in, who to develop from within their own ranks, like the next Foden, for example.
Yeah, it's a good question. Someone like Pep will always be forward-thinking. How can we improve? Where can we improve? The one that sticks to my mind initially is obviously the left-back position. Unfortunately, Mendy's had a lot of injury issues since he joined. Unfortunately, I was part of his first knee injury in a collision with Mendy, and I'm sorry for that. But yeah, he hasn't fully recovered from that. He's been in and out of the team. He's picked up injuries. So that would be the main position I think they need to sort out long term. Other than that, probably another player to replace Fernandinho, who we spoke about before. Similar mould, probably someone younger. And then other than that, they're covered. We look at the bench, we look at the starting 11 today. They've got two world-class players in each position. Yes, they can bring through Foden more, make him have a more prominent role in the team like he has in the last few weeks. But other than those few positions, I think City are more than covered in that department.
Scott?
Striker. That's it, really. I mean, Andros is right. You know, Mendy hasn't quite done it or fulfilled his potential. And I don't think Andros should be apologising for what happened with the injury, but there's no doubt about it. Mendy hasn't quite got back to where he was. But if the physical stats are showing in training that he will do, then believe me, next season he will be some player. Yeah, Fernandinho is maybe a holding midfielder. I think Rodri is coming stronger and stronger as the more time he spends in the Man City midfield. But I think ultimately it's the striker. Aguero's going. Can't rely on a false nine all the time. I know Pep's turned around and said, you know, we're not going to be spending bucket loads. And I actually believe him. I do think he is someone who, you know, if he says something like that, I genuinely believe him. But I think if they have a chance of getting Erling Haaland, you know, will it be this year? I know the clause says at the moment, well, you know, they can ask for what they want. And the next season, I think it's 75 million euros or something like that. They might just have to wait a year. I'm not sure if Haaland and his representatives are willing to wait that year, but we'll wait and see. But he's already talked about Pep, about youngsters coming through the ranks. So you make a really good point about that as well. He is someone coming from Barcelona with the youth academy they have there, La Masia. He wants to promote from within, but they have to be good enough. And that's why under him, probably only Foden really has come through. They have to be good enough, but he has already spoken very highly of the academy. But for me, it's just striker. That's the main position.
Yeah,
Scott, if you do believe that there isn't bucket loads of money, then who can they get up front that's kind of a cut price option to a Haaland?
Well, there's not. It depends. What does bucket loads of money mean to Manchester City? Does it mean 150? Does it mean 100? Does it mean 80? Does it mean 50? There was rumours that Danny Ings. It's been in the papers here. I don't know if you saw it. Danny Ings from Southampton is a possibility. Now, is he going to take you to the Champions League? No, I don't think so. But is he another very good addition to what is already an excellent Manchester City squad? I think they've got to go out and get Haaland. If they get Haaland, then this quadruple could be on for next season, but he might just have to wait a year. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be really interesting. And you're right, you know, Pep and his agent don't like each other, but, you know, this is about what's best for the boy.
Money talks as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, money talks. If it's down to, you know, if he's a good agent, he can put his hatred of certain people to one side.